And we're back. Neal Isaacs, the Raleigh business broker, coming to you with another tip about small business transactions for buyers, for sellers, for anybody in the SMB world. Today's tip, I'm recording this around the end of the year, is around distributions. We get this question a lot. Do I pay myself a salary if I'm an owner? Do I just take the distributions? How does that affect my cash flow? So, first thing you need to know about is what is cash flow. This is the most misunderstood term and the most important term in small business transactions. I've done a lot of videos about cash flow, but simply put, layman's terms, cash flow is what your company makes plus what you pay yourself through W-2 salary as an officer. So let's break that down a little bit more. By the way, there's more to cash flow, but for the purposes of this, let's use that. And I'm just gonna make up a hypothetical. The profit of the company is $100,000 of NOI, net operating income. Let's just stick with that as an example. So let's say that owner whose company makes $100,000, they also pay themselves $50,000 as a salary, as an officer of the company. Cash flow in that fictitious example would be $150,000. So we just took the officer's compensation and we added it to the NOI, 150,000. If that owner had not paid him or herself $50,000, the company would not have expensed said wages. Hopefully the company is paying other employees. Hopefully it's not just the officer of the company that's getting paid, but we just didn't pay the officer, him or herself. The company would have made $150,000, right? Because it has less expenses there. So in that situation, it doesn't really matter if the officer pays him or herself a salary or not. There's more to it. As a broker, we'll add back the taxes that an owner paid on paying him or herself, but essentially that's it. Now, if that same owner took a distribution of $50,000, we're not going to add that back. That's considered a balance sheet activity. And the way it kind of works is the $100,000 of profit that the company made, the owner just took some of that, right? It's a little more complicated than that because it could be that that money wasn't made by the company. Maybe the company got a loan and that's where the 100 grand that the owner took came from. But just know that that's a distribution that's different than a salary or officer's compensation. You can really tell. The way to check is if you paid taxes on it. If it's on the P&L and you paid taxes and employer taxes, then it's probably an officer's compensation. And again, this is only for one working owner. So, same example. Company makes $100,000 in net operating income. Owner takes a distribution of $50,000 and the owner pays him or herself $50,000. The cash flow is not $200,000. It's still $150,000. The other big picture the takeaway from this is it doesn't really matter if you pay yourself or not. We get this question a lot around tax season. People are positioning to sell a business. The decision to pay yourself an officer's compensation is purely a tax-driven decision. We, as business brokers and business bankers who look at your business and savvy business buyers, will understand these intricacies. So it's really just a tax decision. I know my accountant advises me to take a officer's compensation based on what we have going on in the year, right? So are we looking to buy houses? We want to get our officer's compensation up. Are we looking to drive profit of the business down for tax purposes? Let's raise officer compensation. If taxes aren't going to be such a problem, maybe I don't need to pay myself as much. Maybe an owner is reached an age where they're no longer taking Social Security. They're not contributing to their Social Security. There's no advantage to paying themselves officer compensation. So it's really a tax decision whether an owner pays himself a salary or not. Don't misconstrue that with cash flow. Big takeaway here. Cash flow is net operating income plus officers' compensation. The other parts are depreciation, amortization, interest. Talk to a business broker for these details. And distributions do not count towards cash flow. What questions do you have about valuing a business, about cash flow? Ask me, Neal Isaacs, the Raleigh business broker. These are the things that we like to talk with owners about. This is what I enjoy talking about. Put your questions in the comments, like, subscribe, and share. If you have a question that's specific to your individual business transaction, we respect confidentiality, so direct message me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Um, I'm pretty easy to find online. Neal Isaacs, the Raleigh business broker. Thanks for watching. Until next time, maha.